Welcome to Security Insights with Arvind Dhillon, your bi-weekly deep dive into latest insights, security trends, and innovations in the security business. I'm your host, Arvind Dhillon. Today, we're going to discuss the subtle but critical skill that all security industry professionals must acquire. It's the art of educating the customers. So, whether you're a security business owner, security professional, or someone with a keen eye on the security business, this episode is for you. Let's get started. In a technical field like security, clients often come to us with a problem, but they don't always know the best solution. Our job isn't just to install what they ask for, it's to guide them to what they truly need for their safety and security.
Hey everyone, this is Tuche. Today I'm interviewing Arvind again. Arvind, let's dive into why this educational role is so fundamental for our success and our clients' protection. Let's start with the core philosophy. Why is it so important for a security business to see themselves as an educator and not just a service provider?
Our in our business as a security provider, our job is much more than just installing systems. Our customers don't necessarily live and breathe the security that we do every day. So when we educate our customers, our systems perform better. There's less frustration, and the customer's risk goes down. Goes down.
It's the people business in the end. And of course, your clients, even though they have the understanding what they need because they have the problem in the end, but they don't necessarily understand the best solution because they don't get the things going behind all the service needs. So I'm going to move forward with the second question here. What are the long term risks for both the client and your reputation if you simply give a client exactly what they ask for without questioning, without guiding them?
I think here, this is when the education comes in handy. Our clients, most of our clients, or whenever we get a call, they always ask that just put a one camera in the
Mhm.
front. So when we do the site visit, we realize that there's more vulnerabilities in the back, behind the house, or in a blind spot on the side of the house. So that's where we feel that the theft or the vandalism will happen in that situation. So at that time, we have to educate our customers. Sometimes we provide them with the diagrams so they can fully acknowledge uh, that what they are asking or what we are recommending, it lines up with them.
But what are the risks for clients and for you if you don't do it? Or if any security business, let's say a security business, a service provider, they just do what the client say, no question asked. They just say, okay, one camera in the front, they just did it. What is the risk for the security business in long term and the client?
Well, the client will lose trust in you if they get broken into and you don't cover it, even though it had only a coverage on the front door. But in the client's mind, they got a cover. They got a full coverage when they had a professionals over installing the system, right? So at that time, if you educated them, you showed them that what the other vulnerabilities are around the property, then the chances of customer success is much higher.
And from the security business is losing trust and reputation in that
Losing
scenario.
trust at the end of the day, then as a business owner, you will customer will be frustrated with you, right? Because your
True.
system didn't perform very well.
That is true. From educating part, we're gonna stay a little bit more on that. The whole idea is on that, but we have different parts to move from here. How does taking the time to educate a client actually become a more profitable business strategy in the long run? Long run that just making a quick sale.
We look at it as a partnership with the client. We understand the budget's constraints, um, other options that are available in the market. But as a professional, we have to design the system and we have to cover all our tracks. We don't like to go and just do half the job for a customer. So that's when that trust is built upon a partnership. It takes a long time, and that's how we keep growing our business by having referrals. And referral is the biggest compliment that we receive.
True, it is in the long run is building a proper relationship, trusted relationship with a single client brings more business, one thing, but other thing also that single business also turns to a more profitable job because they have their minds, maybe they look out on the internet as, let's say, residential clients, they say one camera in the front, as you say, but there's so much more needs to be said it that they're not aware. When you make that education, then actually you even sell more to that single client in that day, same moments. So it's more profitable.
It's not only profitable, but it's more peace of mind for customer as well. When they see you that you're educating them, that you're taking your time and going around the property, uh, drawing the diagrams for the site, telling them what are the other blind spots if you install a camera on one side, and what could be the other challenges in the future, and that's how it all starts.
What is a common request or assumption a homeowner might have that is well intentioned but ultimately ineffective or even creates a false sense of security?
Um, there's been a lot of circumstances where customers are asked, I just want a one camera in the front yard, but customers don't realize that there's other parts of the house where the vandalism could happen or the theft could happen. So in that case, we go in and look around the property. One example, I in my recent uh, one of our sales rep was out, and same thing. They just wanted to put a door sensor only at the front door and the back door, but they didn't want to do the any of the side doors, right? So the salesman has to go through the step by step process of educating the customer and advise them that side doors are actually most likely that someone will break through instead of just the front door and the back door, right?
That's the part that we are dealing with the false sense of security. But how do we actually do it? Like, how do you tactfully tell a homeowner that their initial idea won't work? What's your process of presenting a better alternative without making them ignorant or pressured?
um, the best scenario is when we uh, explain to the customer how the actual security works and give them diagrams of the property and get all the jargon out of all conversation, bring out the simplicity to them. That's when usually the magic happens. It's all about uh, building the trust with the client so they understand you that you are the security expert in this situation, right?
You're building the trust by educating them, but sometimes they might feel that maybe you're trying to sell more. How do you deal with that?
There's always that that is a possibility. There is a salesman that like to upsell the system, but that's when, if you're not educating the customer first, the education comes in, I think, instead of just worrying about the dollars and or your sale going through. I think if you genuinely educate the customer, most likely you will close that deal.
So you are not talking money at all, while you are just talking about why you are saying what and why they need that part.
You have to realize that the customers don't live and breathe the security that we do, or the uh, side of the security that we get to see. When the customers got broken into, we get a inside knowledge or investigations that we see day in and out. So the customers don't see that, right? They have just um, they're just focusing on one thing, right?
Hmm.
So it's our job as a security professional, not, yes, the sale, the dollar, that all matters at some point, but the first idea is the system has to be installed to work at its utmost performance level. And if we are installing just a um, half-past systems, then it's not good for the customer or for your own reputation.
True. So while we were in a little bit of stories, can you share a story where educating a residential client completely changed the scope of the project for better, leading to a much more secure and happier client? I guess you had the story. You're just mentioning the front door and the back door door sensors. And what did you end up selling to them?
So one of our clients, this was many years ago, uh, they just wanted a camera at the front door in a doorbell. They didn't want any other cameras, but when we did the site assessment, we realized they have a back lane and there's lots of trees and bushes in the back lane that it's much easier target from the back where they park their cars. So we sold them a 4 channel camera, so they had 4 cameras, 2 in the back, 2 in the front. And then a few months later, they got broken into from the back. So that was sort of
Even though you did give the
we
education and you
did.
did install, or you just did what they say?
No, we did give them an education, and then the thieves decided to break in from the back door. So then that in that case, that they realized that the threat was real.
Hmm. And did it help the security system you installed because there was the footage there?
They had the footage, and then I'm not sure if the police caught them or not. But usually, um, the cameras is it protected them. It gave them a peace of mind, and they could see that the thieves came in from the back door, or through the back gate and from the alley, and they try to enter the house. Right. So
After that incident, did you end up selling a more service, such as like more alarm system, higher end, or video
yeah. So
monitoring, other type
again,
of things?
because of the education we provided them upfront, and then later on they decided that they do want alarm monitoring out of it. So from our same customer, we did end up getting alarm monitoring out of it after.
Yeah, that is the bigger part of it. I mean, we were hoping most of security business, I guess, like educating how to approach to them is one thing, and in that same day, in that client approach, if they come to the level of understanding that whatever they need, such as like front and back and always sites covered by the cameras, as well as alarm monitoring, maybe including environmental other parts, it's in the same time if it was installed, maybe they will be already stepping getting out of all that incidents or having a lot more safe space, but they have to wait for an incident to happen and then you have to go back again.
Well, it's unfortunate when we go back after the incident because then the loss has already happened, right? The other one that I always think about is the flood sensors. We recommend to our clients every time to put a flood sensors in their furnace or hot water tank room.
Mhm.
But 95% of the customers don't go for that.
They don't see it as a necessity.
Because usually people's mind is that, oh, I just got a new hot water tank, or it's a new
It's not
build.
gonna
It's
happen.
never gonna happen, right? But when it does happen, the insurance claims go through the roof. Uh, they have to sometimes
There's a huge damage. Yeah.
relocate their house, right? So, but it's very unfortunate, but that is something that we are working on. We are, creating flyers and trying to educate our customers so they go for these
The
flood
technicians
sensors.
also specifically mention all the time if there's the case.
Yes.
Still, the biggest part security cameras is one thing, alarm systems, monitoring, and then environmental part, such as leak, is the other part that they don't think as a risk.
Yeah.
With commercial clients, the conversation shifts from pure safety to risk management and ROI. How do you frame your educational advice in terms of they care about, like liability, business interruptions, and loss prevention, insurances? How does it change the conversation?
Um, with the commercial clients, it's always a little bit harder because depending upon who you talk to, if you're talking to the CFO of the company, then it's a pure uh, dollar to dollar on the budget constraints they have. If you're talking to the operation manager, then they are more worried about the operational challenges that they will have because they nobody wants to have a loss on their shift, right? So then it really depends who you talk to, but in a nutshell, you have to come up with a plan that all levels of the management is satisfied.
So when it's come to any commercial client, you frame it all included as a project plan that answers different parts of commercial, as an example, like CFO, as you say, or the project manager. So you had to cover in the one presentation, giving the full education and advices and the solutions provided to them. And do you educate them with like presentation, documentation? How do you
Mhm.
frame that?
Normally, it's always first step is to get to the site, do a site walkthrough and see what kind of system they previously had or what they're missing. That's the first step, and then the second step is that depending upon who you get to talk to, a lot of the time it's operations manager that runs the warehouse or the office. So they usually have an inside scoop of what is more important to them. Then at the final stage, once we have already given the quotation, that's when usually the finance manager comes into the play. So at that time, it's all about uh, giving them information and telling them how the system actually works. Then it's easier for them to sign off. Yes, the budget constraints are always there, but I feel once people are educated, they see how the system will work in certain situations and what it can do from the risk insurance loss, basically.
Yeah, you
So
covered my second question right there.
yeah. So once you do that, then normally we gotta sign off on it.
Okay. Just a bit more with the detail with the second question was already covered, Aldo. So commercial clients often have strict budgets, as you say, and they have projects and there's yearly budgets that allows them to do other parts or improving their security system if there is any in the recent years, if they had an incident specifically, they had increased budget on that. So how do you educate them on the true cost of not implementing a proper system versus the initial investment? So they do come with you with a budget and with the requirement, and they do have strict. And when you already mentioned that when it's come to financial, you really need to give the understanding of why it costs that much versus what they ask for.
Strict budgets is what we have to occasionally deal with. It's all again education, education, education. So uh, when we design a system for a client and then we tell them that give them the options what it can do, then um, when we design the system, we take a approach about explaining them the loss of ability to operate, the insurance risk, and the system design features. So once we educate on all three levels, then usually it's easier for the customer to understand and they can put together what is more critical for them. Sometimes the customers they take a layer approach where they will say, okay, in this year I agree with everything that you're recommending, but we only have a budget for certain things. But we understand that there's other risks that we have to take, so we'll put that into next year's option.
So they'll be taking the risk of an incident and getting you off hook in that scenario.
Usually, it's the insurance risk that the customers are willing to take a little bit of risk on because uh, essentially, yes, insurance claims do go up, but hopefully, if the incident doesn't happen within that time frame, they're usually okay.
Understandable. In the first question, also, you touched up the part that your approach changes depending on who actually talk in the commercial industry. So here we want to ask you actually that part, how that changes, right? In a commercial setting, you might be talking to a facility manager, a CFO, or operations head, as you say. How does your educational approach changes when you have to address different concerns within the same organizations? How do you deal with that?
Um, it's all about understanding the whole concept of it, because when you talk to the operation manager, he's only looking operational challenges that he can have. He's not caring about what the company budget is set up as or what the security budget is set up. He cares about, he doesn't want his employees to get hurt. He does not want any downtime. That's his main concerns, right?
Mhm.
So when you talk to the CFO, then he's talking about the budget. So first you have to educate the within their whatever their core responsibility is. Then you have to uh, try to educate them on the full picture. And sometimes it can be challenges when there's national clients where the CFO is sitting in a different city, the operation manager is actually on the ground, which is the first time responder. So in those situations, they can be challenging. But again, it's the more you educate, the more scenarios you can give to the client, and the more open communication that you have.
Mhm.
I feel like that's the way to go.
So do you have to do individual meetings to each person when it's come to a commercial project, or they usually put one person in charge, but you have to provide all these details and that person goes to provide to internal team?
It depends. If they are local clients, usually it's a one or two person that are involved. But if it's a national client, then there is different layers. You have to do presentation for the local office, then maybe to the head office, maybe to the someone that's in charge of the area. So there can be a different levels of a presentation.
And the presentation needs to be all including the parts that you mentioned, as in from operational approach, financial, security, and feature liability.
Yes, but we tend to do when we're doing a presentation for the head office. Uh, it also depends. Initial presentation is always about the overall how the system works. We never like to get into the nitty gritty, but as we go through the sales cycle, then later on that we want to make sure that our customers understand how the systems work, and then hopefully in the future they can expand on those as well.
So we are right in the spot. I need to pass to how to part of the framework here when it's come to education. So, what key questions do you always ask to a new client to uncover their true needs and vulnerabilities they might not even be aware of?
Are you talking commercial or residential?
Mainly commercial.
Okay.
Residential is, I think we did cover it in the first part. So when it's come to larger projects, they are not truly aware of the actual critical problem. And how do you ask them? What are the main questions that for a new client you have to ask?
Um, the main one that we've been in a commercial is how much foot traffic they have, depending upon the location. Like if you're looking at some locations that are based in the mall, the theft is the amount of theft that could happen is goes significantly higher. Yes, the mall have a security guards and there's cameras on there, but if there's a lot of foot traffic coming in and out, especially on the busy days, then that's something we should take into consideration.
So when it's come to also education, you mentioned about showing them some specific tools, diagrams. Can we share more about that? What kind of tools do you use to help with this education process to maybe even in your sales process?
Mostly we use the flyers that we have created for individual, small commercial, residential, big commercial flyers. And then we like to, once we determine what kind of system we're going to go about it, then we create a presentation around that. Every system is a little bit different. Um, yes, the core strength it might be the same, but every system has things that are better than the other, or so in some situations it's going to work better for this particular client than the rest of the clients, right?
So while we're saying about the system, so there are different solutions, different system. Some of them might be really complex, and from the security part, we can say that the technically being technical and all that details can be really overwhelming for a client, commercial or residential. What's your secret to explaining complex systems in a way that is so clear and helpful and not condescending for the client?
uh, in basic terms, we cut out all the jargon. When I say jargon, I'm meaning all. We don't get into too technical details. We focus on what customer concerns are, and we give them into a simple language. Simplicity is the key.
Simplifying the language, and from documentation point, anything helpful for them to understand why and what this is the solution for.
Uh, Usually, yes, but again, uh, the more paperwork we give them, the more confusing it gets. So
Maybe
we
less.
try. So we try to keep it very simple, and especially the site plans that we work on, and we mark everything on there. Lately, a few of our salespeople have been doing that. They mark everything clearly and color coded on the site plan. That's been helping
The
tremendously.
visuals, the
The
visual
visuals,
graphs. Oh,
yeah.
yeah, that's true. Okay, let's do a final takeaway here. If you could leave our audience of security professionals, security business owners, or maybe security system installers and sellers here with one piece of advice on how to start becoming better educator for their clients tomorrow, what would be?
Hmm. The best one is to approach any sales process is not to think about the dollar value. The first try to solve the customer's problem. Each customer is different, each site is different, each incident is different. So try to really get to the depth and put your focus on what the site needs rather than on a budget constraints or just to close the sale. Focus on what the actual site needs and try not to cut any corners. I see a lot of people that they cut corners just to win the job, and then it end up biting them in the long run, because now customers don't trust you. They don't want to talk to you anymore. They rather have a different supplier for you. Now you're lost a sale, right?
Oh, true. So the main conversation here that they should be having, sales or any security technician, is what is in it for the customer. What is the benefit, or what is the problem they're solving for them, not what they're providing the technical terms or what is the dollar value on the cost of the project. The main solution.
It's all about solution and how much peace of mind you can provide to the customer. Well, that's a wrap for today's episode, Security Insights with Arvind Dhillon. Hope you got some value out of it, and if you did, please subscribe to our channel or comment below. If you want to connect with me directly, follow me on LinkedIn or on Instagram at Arvind Dhillon. Until next time, stay secure, keep growing your business, and we'll see you in the next episode.